I'm going to jail for this. I'm going to die. And that starts us on the sad tale of Jennifer Robinson.
Robinson, not Davis. This is Jen.
This is Becky.
This is too close to home.
Welcome.
Welcome. I do love a story after my own namesake.
Yes. But not this, you don't want to be this Jennifer.
Not this, not this one.
Mm-mm. So I'm going to start us off with our sources. Let me scroll all the way down here. We have case text, case Lawrence v. State, library law FSU, digital collection, P&J story, news crime, 2018 Florida Supreme Court, and the book Flesh Collectors, Cannibalism and Further Depravity on the Redneck Riviera by Fred Rosen.
Listen, if a title doesn't catch your attention, I don't know what will.
So I'm going to tell you a little fun fact about this story. One, this was a listener request. So this is being covered by request of a listener. In case listener request wasn't a good enough description and you didn't understand it.
We're here about anything for education, okay?
Science, math, reading, we got you.
Exactly.
Completely understandable sentences, we can help you.
Yeah, I've never misspoken in my life. Have you?
Not once.
I've never known her to be wrong.
I've never known you either.
Oh, shit, son. We're in for a good time.
And the other fun fact is this happened in the town I grew up in. Literally, the streets they talk about, driven down 100 times. The field they talk about.
You could have been on the
IDTV
IDTV episode of just like happening to know that. Because listen, sometimes on those like IDTV episodes or Oxygen true crime episodes, that person might not have anything to do with the case other than being in a vicinity.
Yeah.
And they end up on it. And you could have too, Becky.
Well, unfortunately, I was only in middle school when this happened. So,
I mean, you're still in the same town. So that's still just like base qualifications. For
it was 1 year before I started high school. So y'all disregard the dates. Remember, I'm 21.
Did you remember the time? Like, did you remember during the time that it was? Like, or hear about it?
I don't. I remember hearing about it a couple years later, but I did learn through covering this that it never gained national media coverage and it never really gained local media coverage. It was very quiet, kept, and I think it was because of the it's such a small town that I grew up in.
And it's
they were kind
a
of
southern
afraid,
town.
yes, that if too much publicity arose around it, it would really affect the tiny little town that it was.
Which makes sense. Look at the Amityville horror and how that affected that community so much that the house changed its windows. And those iconic eye windows, they completely changed them out because people kept bothering the people that lived in the house.
Yeah.
I was like, the ghosts aren't bothering you, though? But I digress.
They could be nice.
They could be nice.
Know.
I don't know, Becky. I've watched quite a few renditions of the Amityville horror.
Well, I've never watched it, so I sound like I'm misspeaking. My only real encounter with ghosts is the show Ghosts, and they're all friendly, so.
They're all wonderful.
They are.
Them.
So, enough talking. We'll dive right in because this is going to be a long episode. The second, it's going to be 2 parts. The second part's going to be longer.
I'm excited about this. It's like it's almost like you're a beat cop, like telling me this. This is your hometown. You know this. You know this beat.
That's right. I can give you little side, stories that you don't want to hear.
I do,
but I'm here for them.
I love those stories.
On April 9th, 1998, Jeremiah Rodgers and Jonathan Lawrence were just a couple average 20-somethings sitting around a bonfire in a small town of Milton, Florida. And when I tell you small town and bonfires, been there, done them. Both men did not have much ambition in life, but they did share a host of mental health illnesses.
Like us? Oh my God. No, worse. Yeah.
Both had already spent time being institutionalized in mental health facilities. They'd even spent time at Chattahoochee, a very well-known mental health facility in Florida that specialized in treating the criminally insane. Now,
way
Jen,
down
you grew
yonder,
up in Florida too. Were you familiar with Chattahoochee? Ever heard it growing up or anything?
Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than a hoochie coochie.
Not that one, but
that's the only Chattahoochee. But this one sounds, I don't know about this one.
Growing up in this town, I knew of Chattahoochee. It was a place that young people would jest about when a friend was acting crazy, and you'd say, "You need to be in Chattahoochee."
So like in Georgia, like was like Milledgeville. My great grandmother wouldn't say where she was from because there was like a insanity asylum in Milledgeville, and so that's what the town was known for. She was like, I ain't saying I'm from there.
I'm surprised you never heard of it, but maybe we ran in different circles.
Well, I did end up splitting up and going into Georgia like when I was 16. So
Yeah.
maybe I just didn't have enough time to learn about the local insanity asylums.
It's a shame.
Really is. I would love to spend all my time in them now.
It's probably a good thing because you would have been down there visiting and stuff.
I would have been like, this is a free tour. Say less.
That's what your family said when they dropped you off.
That she got a strange email from a Nigerian prince saying that there was a free tour at this abandoned facility.
Bye. Say less. On the afternoon of the 9th, Lawrence called his cousin, 20-year-old Justin Livingston. Justin hung out with Lawrence regularly, but Rodgers hated Justin. Justin also suffered with mental illness and could not function without mental health medications. His mental illnesses hit him in high school, and he would have hallucinations, and he did not like them.
They say that isn't it like teenage and in the 20s when a lot of mental illness gets discovered?
Especially schizophrenia, which he had. And he was perfectly normal and then had an episode, ended up in the mental health facility, and he told his mom, when he started taking medications, everything went away, and he told her, like, I hated that. I hated seeing things and hearing things, and so he was very religious about taking his medications.
I would also not to like to hear and see things. I think that's why I've never done shrooms. So
Same. He would take his medications on.
I love that like people are just been offering us shrooms. No one's ever offered us shrooms.
Nobody's ever offered me free drugs.
You know, like Dare told me that they were going to offer me stuff. Not once.
Not once. Not once. No one ever put it in my Halloween candy either.
Damn it.
I know.
Bunch of buzzkills.
Very misleading. So he would take his medications on a regular basis, and he never missed a dose, according to his mother. Justin would regularly visit his cousin and bum anything from soda to smokes or whatever else he could get. This is what annoyed Rodgers so much and why he did not like him. Plus, he said Justin was always around, and his constant presence and bumming just annoyed him. He wanted Justin out of the picture, but not just out of the picture. He wanted to take Justin out. It didn't take much convincing, and Lawrence agreed. Lawrence's birthday was coming up, so they decided to invite Justin over and kill him.
Oh my God, what a great birthday present.
I know. Justin was in his 20s, but he only had the mindset of a 12-year-old.
Oh.
So a simple birthday party excited him. They said he got dressed up.
This is such a mean, like, fucking trap.
Yeah. It's worse. I didn't even go into all the details of some of it because it was just too sad. Plus, the kid's name was Justin.
That's
and
exactly how I feel right now. Like,
yes.
The fact you keep saying Justin, and I'm so used to you talking about your Justin
yes.
that I'm thinking, I'm just picturing him in my mind. And then it makes me feel violent because,
yes,
why would you do that to this baby?
Yes. And this all happened on April 9th, and my Justin's birthday is April 10th.
Oh,
yeah.
My gosh.
So I had a hard time with some of it.
I don't blame you.
Justin was so excited about the party that he went and got dressed up in his best pearl snap and cowboy boots and headed over. Now, the cowboy boots that he wore over there were these really fancy cowboy boots. His mom had bought him for graduation, and he only wore them
for the best occasions.
Yes. So it's really like sad because he was just getting all dolled up. He thought he was about to go have him a good old time.
Right.
And he was not.
Let me look my best for my friend's birthday.
And this is why I'm so protective of my Justin. When Justin got there was, and then to make it worse, the cousin's house that he was going to, his name was Jonathan.
What?
I'm like, are you kidding?
No.
When Justin,
some say this would be too close to home. I feel like we should have like the Law and Order dun after we say too close to home, but I don't know what that would be.
I don't either, but we do. We'll task Jimmy on that. He's not doing anything.
Yeah, he's got time on his hands.
He's got nothing but time.
It's what we pay that 1 penny every once in a while for.
That's right.
Like Becky says, but I give him my 2 cents all the time.
All the time. When Justin got there was no party going on, and he was confused, but they reassured him that it was later in the day and they were just going to sit down and hang out. So, to paint you a picture, Jonathan lived on what the detective referred to as a compound. It was a big area of land, and there was a bunch of different trailers on it that family lived in.
Nothing ever sounds good about a when you
Compound.
use the word compound.
Nothing ever sounds.
Some crimes are happening.
Most definitely. I've never heard of anything referred to as a compound, and it was positive.
No, not once.
Not once. So when Justin gets there, they go outside, they're sitting, and if you grew up in a small town in the country, you know that a lot of people will come and go off the property, especially if it's white trash.
Oh,
I don't know if that's PC to say anymore, but it is what it is.
Well, listen, that's my people's, and I feel like it's appropriate.
I'm proud of that.
Okay, I'm from Florida. Okay. And my family loves white trash.
So there's people out working on trucks, friends stopping by having a beer kind of thing, and they're all just sitting out there. Justin's just waiting for the party to start. They all sat around drinking and smoking until the time was right for their plan. When Justin wasn't where he could hear them, they decided they were going to take Justin to the helicopter field and commit the crime there. Spencer Field is well known in Milton. It's literally a large square area with 4 roads around it, right in the middle of, like, the high school is over on one side.
That Milton just came out right in the middle.
It did. Going back to my roots. The high school's on one side. There's neighborhoods around it. And Spencer Field is the Navy training field. And it's where helicopters will do touchdowns and training exercises because the Navy base out there is all pilot training.
Right.
So it's used for things like that. And it's literally a big square field with 4 roads around it.
Yeah.
So they told Justin they were going to go out to the field. They're going to walk out in the middle and they were going to smoke a joint out there. When they pulled into the field, Justin asked where the joint was. And they told him, oh, just come along. We'll smoke it when we get there. When they got to the middle of the field, Rodgers turned and asked Justin what he had done. Justin began to get uneasy and believed they were going to beat him up. Justin even asked him if they were. He said, are y'all going to beat me up?
Like, what's going on here?
Even with a childlike mind.
Everybody gets spidey senses.
Everybody got them.
That's that inert human flight or fight. Something's wrong.
Yeah. So Rodgers realizes he's kind of onto it. So he starts laughing. He's like, oh, we're just messing with you. Come on, let's go out here to ease Justin. So they walk out to the middle field and Rodgers asked Justin if he could see the stars. He told Justin, if you can look up there and find a certain star, then I'm going to give you $20. So $20.
Hell yeah. Right.
So Justin starts looking up, trying to find the star, and the whole plan behind it was Rodgers was going to have him up looking for the star, and that's when he was going to stab him. But while Justin was looking, he just couldn't gain the courage to do it. So when Justin stopped looking and Rodgers hadn't gotten the courage, the plan changed again, and they began to walk back to the truck. While en route, Rodgers stopped, pulled up his shirt, removed his Bowie knife, and stabbed Justin in the back. Justin was startled and screamed, why did you just do that? And immediately fell to the ground. Justin was now on the ground. After a bit of confused conversation and making Justin stay on the ground, Rodgers crouched down beside him and stabbed him again right between the shoulder blades. Justin, trying to get back up, still had the knife plunged in his back. Rodgers told Justin to lay down and twisted the knife in his back. Rodgers then pulled the knife out and gave it to Lawrence for him to stab him. This point, Justin's still alive, and he's looking up at his cousin like, what is going on? And so Lawrence pussied out and then couldn't do anything. Not to mention, he didn't try to save him or stop it either.
No.
But, he couldn't stab him when he was looking at him. That was his cousin. Lawrence said, it's just too hard. So they just stood there and watched him die.
It's a weird phenomenon because I've heard about several stories of like cases like that of young adults and one of them coming up with a plan and we're all going to go murder this one other kid and
nobody stops it.
Nobody. And some kids won't participate, but they also, like you said, won't stop it. They just are there. And a lot of times those are the ones that end up, turning the case. Don't get me wrong, but if you had stopped it, call 911, or like did anything, you could have saved a life.
It's because they didn't have someone like us in the group. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, oh, we're so great. I mean that in the sense of I think about that sometimes when I'm like with my coworkers and something's going on at work and it's wrong, not in the sense of like murder wrong, but wrong. Like, no, we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And everybody talks about it, but nobody will say anything.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to say something. And they're like, you're going to say something?
Always going to be the one that
I'm gonna
says
say
something. To our detriment.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I speak up and say it, then everybody tag teams on.
Yes.
And will agree, but nobody will be the first one to say it.
Everyone's
and I
scared.
always will ask people afterwards because people will come to me and they'll be like, Becky, you go say it. You'll say it. And I'm like, why don't y'all? Why won't anybody else?
There's not going to
Why
be like
am
a
I always gotta be
python
the
that
voice of
jumps out
reason?
and like chokes you to death. Nobody's going to like say something.
No, you're not going to lose your job. I'm not going in and being disrespectful.
No.
We were in a meeting the other day and we were talking about this personality class we had to take and they were all talking about their colors and it was with my two bosses and I was like, I was a gold. I was like, and of course I scored a high enough gold that they put my name on the PowerPoint for the entire class of 50 people. And my bosses started dying laughing and they were like, Becky, that explains so much about you.
You literally are a gold star personality.
My big boss goes, that's why your questions are so pointed and targeted. I was like, targeted? And he was like, that's not the right word. They're just very pointed and very direct about what the problem is. I was like, no, true.
I mean, would you want me to be about the bush? Like, what do you want from me?
I said, that's my OCD. And they were dying laughing. They were like, we understand so much more about you now.
And that's why we do these personality tests.
That's right. So as they're sitting there watching Justin die in the field, Rodgers decided this wasn't going on quick enough. So Rodgers grabbed his shirt and decided to strangle him. Once he was dead, Lawrence walked over, checked, picked up the knife, and stabbed him 10 more times in the back. Now that he's dead, he'll participate. He doesn't want to look at him while he did it. But he'll have fun mutilating his body. That's not a problem. Once they were done, assured he was dead, they went back to the truck, got some bolt cutters, cut a large hole in the fence, and backed the truck up big enough hole to back the truck into so they could load his body into it. They grabbed a blanket and loaded Justin's body into the back. They headed home, but not before stopping for snacks. They were hungry, and Lawrence was dying to try the new 3D Puff Doritos.
Oh my God.
Do you remember?
Yes, I remember those.
This story was
what
like...
a weird fucking thing to think about after murdering someone. Also, I was terrified when you said bolt cutters at first. I was like, what are they going to do?
No, just cut a hole in the fence.
I'm so prepared for the awful things to come. I'm like, oh shit, this is it. Oh, no hole in the fence. Oh.
This story was so emotionally
Charged.
Yeah, it I had like turmoil with it because it was really hard. And I left out so many details of this because I just couldn't go into them. And then I'm like, oh, 3 Puff Doritos. I remember those. Nostalgia. And then I'm like, oh, sad.
Had one of
Nostalgia,
those
sad.
and a nice surge.
I was very bipolar when I was writing this. My emotions were all over the place.
Honestly, that's what all our stories are.
True.
We'll be talking about ugly things and then we'll get really on a funny tangent and then you come back in where somebody gets stabbed in the back. You know what I mean? It just happens like that.
And see where I wrote some things and I took it out. So when they loaded the body into the back, they cut the hole big enough to drive the truck into, and they took his body to the middle of the field and buried it there, which was always kind of confusing to me because it was a military field.
It's like that means to me like there's going to be high traffic
Yes.
because of like the whole point of the field is for exercise.
Yes.
Like military, so like somebody's going to notice like some dirt.
That's what
being
I
piled
thought.
up in a
And
pit.
I'm like, I feel like a lot of your training with these touchdowns and stuff in a helicopter is for recovery missions. And none of you noticed something was different about the field and there was a giant hole cut in the fence. But I digress.
You know, deers can do that.
And sometimes I don't bother in my writing to go look up why none of that was brought up because then I end up down 6 other rabbit holes. And I'm like, stay focused. Stay focused and stay on this one
It's
lane
already
road.
hard to be focused.
That's not your exit. Don't get off.
Fuck, I felt that deep in my chest right there.
Yes. So I would have to go, no. Don't go look. Just
You almost
wander it in
had
your
me.
mind and go down your own rabbit hole. Don't even look it up when you go lay in bed, Becky, because then you're going to go add it to the episode. So after they did that, then they went and got the 3D Doritos.
As one would. My first thought, not like 3D Doritos. I wonder if they are gluten free because regular Doritos are gluten free. But then if you go to Mexico, their Doritos are not. Just letting you
Oh,
know. I
thank
didn't
you.
know until I had eaten quite a few in Puerto Vallarta. So that was great.
I don't think it was. So they stopped. They went and had their snacks. After so they bury the body, they go there, get their snacks, and then like, you know what? We need to go back and make sure that we didn't leave anything. Make sure there is no evidence.
Now that you've gotten your belly full of 3D Doritos.
Well, they got their thinking power back. Their sugars was low. Their sugars was low. Does that take you back to a little nostalgia to Florida there?
Yes.
They go back. They look around, make sure they don't have anything. Start to head back, realize they're thirsty, so they stop for some Cokes. They get back to Lawrence's house and they start cleaning the knives, making sure they had all their belongings. And the boys joked about, let's see if before I get to the part where I ask you intercede and say anything. They joked about, remember reading a story about a murder where one of the assailants dropped his glasses and that's how they got caught. And they didn't want to make that mistake. And they laughed as one of them checked for their glasses. Now, Jennifer, do you remember a famous story about two boys murdering a neighbor and getting caught by leaving behind their glasses?
I do.
You covered it on this podcast.
Listen, I don't remember half the jokes we make. Like, listen, I will listen to our podcast to
Oh,
just
God, I
run through
know.
for a title. And every time I'm like, we are some funny bitches. I don't even remember half this conversation.
Same girl, same. It's, drumroll please.
Is it the Candyman?
Nope.
Gerard Schaefer?
Starts with an L. Both of their names. Leopold and Loeb. Leopold and Loeb. Didn't you cover them?
I don't think so. Did I?
I'm pretty sure you did.
I might have.
It was the two boys and they murdered the rich kid with the glass and they dropped their glass. I'm telling you, I'm 99% sure you covered it. Why don't you look and see if she covered it? I'm not. I'm never wrong.
I've never
Jennifer's
known
already
her.
said it.
I've never known her.
Why I continue. Look and see if we covered it. And then get back to me and let me know if I'm wrong, Jimmy.
Sounds like a fun fact situation.
Jimmy's Fun Facts. She's wrong. This was covered by our heroes over at Last Podcast on the Left. If you're listening, hi boys.
Anywho, if I am wrong, I apologize.
If you are wrong, then that seems like you're telling me that that's a Becky request, and I will get it done.
I'm going to say as much information as goes in, I dump half because Jonathan will be like, you should cover this. Or Emma will be like, you should cover this. And I'm like, we might have.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
I always thought it was like people being like trying to be humble when they said they couldn't remember their episodes, like listening to last podcast and how they talk. And I'm like, oh no, they were being for real.
Yeah.
Because like there was something that came about Gerard Schaefer and I was like, God damn, this is so fucking familiar. Oh, I wrote about it. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I did. And then I have to ask Jimmy and he'll tell me.
But he doesn't know if we covered this or not.
No.
Shameful.
Shameful.
It's getting old.
I thought you had this. What is it? What is it called? Leopold and Loeb. I just think about Lisa Loeb. Damn. No, that's Sophie Hawkins. I was about to sing Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover, but that's not the same
I swear to God,
lady.
I'm going to have to double check you. I swear to God, I
Fact check
remember
him.
you telling me. Maybe I listened to it on a different podcast.
I could have told you about it and it'd be something I had heard about before because we do talk about a lot of things. We don't just talk about weird shit during the podcast. This is 99.9% of the time.
And I mean this in the most pleasant way. Sometimes your stories do go on and you tell me everything about
I
everything.
really do.
You basically told me the podcast. Anyway, we digress. Whatever. It didn't
Really
take
need that whole discussion.
It didn't take Justin's mom long to report him missing. He always came home by 7 p.m. to take his medication. And when he didn't show up to take his meds, he became delusional and he didn't like that feeling. His mother immediately knew something bad had to have happened to him. His mother wasn't waiting around for no police to come handle
This sounds like another
situation.
mother I know.
That's right.
I was like, Becky don't play. I remember there was somebody that Justin had been talking to, wanted to go hang out with them, and you were like giving him the night. You're like, hold up, who is this kid? Tell me more about him.
He had to come to the house to meet me, and I
Yep.
put a tracker on Justin's phone. But I digress.
As one should.
As
okay?
one should.
Do you remember the commercials? It's 9 p.m. Where are your children? Well, I know because I get trackers.
I know.
Sorry.
It's okay. His mother immediately made posters and hung them around town. She stopped at one store one of the convenience stores where she met a young girl named Jennifer Jenny Robinson. She asked her if she knew her.
What? That's so rude. Jennifer Jenny Robinson is her whole name?
No. She went by Jenny.
Oh, I
But
thought
I
it was
wanted-
like that was her. It's like, that is so messed up. I don't know why.
And did you notice the correlation here? The episode is Jennifer Robinson. His mom went to the gas station and asked her if she'd seen him.
Yeah.
She asked if she knew her son as they had attended the same high school, but she did not. A week later. Justin was still missing and there were no leads. One day his mom was outside gardening when Lawrence and Roger showed up to her yard. They wanted her to take their names off the missing persons poster because the missing persons poster said they were the last ones to see him.
That's a very odd request.
She said she found it odd.
I'd be like, you sound fucking guilty.
That's what she said. She was like, I just kind of sat there for a minute like, what? Because anybody else that was listed on the poster, like some of the people who had been at the home when he was there, had no problem with it.
No.
They're like, no, by all means, like put my name, I'll help in any way. And for them to stop by and be like, hey, we really need you to take our names off that. She's like, what? Direct quote, what?
Don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
No.
She said she recalled that when they showed up and said that, she just got a really weird feeling. Mother immediately knew something was wrong and she had a feeling that Lawrence was involved. At this time, she was the only one looking. Police had stopped looking into this. There was no evidence of a crime. There was no signs of foul play. And given Justin's mental health history, he could be anywhere doing anything, according to the police.
Oh my God, I fucking hate it when police do that.
It was the 90s.
They still do it now.
They do, true. They were just worse about it then.
They didn't even try to hide it back in them days.
No.
Like, it's just,
They straight
they're
told
probably
you.
out there just wilding. He got the mental problems. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they known to wander.
Direct quote.
Quote unquote.
At this time, Rodgers and Lawrence had not been questioned extensively. Yes, they were the last ones with him. And yes, they had a mental health history, but no, they had no violent history. So they didn't really see a reason to think they had done anything. There wasn't much concern or looking into Justin's disappearance until Todd Hand arrived. Todd Hand was a new detective with the Santa Rosa Police Department who had 15 years' experience as a cop and became the new man assigned to Justin's case. After reading the report, he read that Justin had been reported by his mom and stated he missed his meds and he would become paranoid and suicidal. So, of course, he thought, oh, well, he's probably just met some girl, ran off, and, well, who knows now.
Just sounds just like him.
Hand decided, though, he was going to drive out and talk to Justin's mom. He walked around and asked the neighbors if they had seen anything. So they said Justin didn't drive. He walked everywhere, and he was very friendly and sweet. So if he seen anybody, he was like, hey, how you doing? And they all knew him. Hey, Justin, how are you? So he had spoken to multiple people on the walk. So multiple people were like, yeah, we seen him.
Yeah.
And someone said, I seen him getting into a truck, and he left that day. And another neighbor was like, yeah, I seen it too. That was Lawrence's truck. So now we got more confirmation that
that name gets to stay on the poster. Lawrence.
Hand headed to Lawrence's home. Lawrence wasn't home, and he didn't have a warrant, so he did not proceed on the property. Hand had learned way long ago to be very by the book when it came to going onto properties, looking around, anything like that. He knew that if he found anything and he had done anything to him, none of it would be admissible because he went on to his property without permission.
Yeah, you lose a whole case over some
whole
trifling
case.
shit like that.
They never said that he ever lost a case over it, but when I tell you this man was like about it,
He got burnt one time and he said,
One
never
time.
again, bitch.
never,
Never. You ain't catching me sleeping.
never.
That sounds like me and you energy right there.
Yes.
Listen, this happened one time. Ain't never happening again.
You got me once, you won't get me twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Exactly.
He knew if something had happened to Justin, he proceeded too quickly with Lawrence and found anything, he'd not be able to use it in court. So he spoke to some neighbors who told him where Lawrence worked. Hand called him there and spoke to Ricky, a coworker who had been on Lawrence's property working on a truck prior to them leaving for the helicopter field. He told Han that Justin was there and was all dressed up like it was a special occasion. Ricky said Justin had helped him with some work on his truck and then rode around with him to see if it was good. You know how they used to do that? I got all fixed. I'm going to ride around the block, see if it's good.
Yes. Yes.
After they returned, Ricky left and he said Justin was alive and well. He said he returned later and Justin was still there hanging out. He said later Justin left with Rodgers and Lawrence. He said that was the last time I seen him. Hand was later able to speak to Lawrence, who said they drove off with Justin and then went back to the house to watch The Shining. He said Justin had wanted to watch it. He said when the movie was over, Justin said he was going to go down to the video store, and that was the last time he seen them. So he then proceeded to call Rodgers. There was no answer, so he headed to the video store. The clerk said Justin had not been in the store for quite a while, and they reviewed the video footage, and there was none of Justin. So, Hand's doing some work. He doing some work.
That's right. Putting in the time.
Hand tried multiple times to reach Rodgers, who would not return his call. Hand looked both men up in the police database and seen they had both done time at the mental health facility together and had prior prison sentences, but again, nothing violent. There was still no indication of foul play, but Hand was beginning to get suspicious. He just had a feeling something did happen and that they were responsible. About the time he started to really start questioning them and leaning into them, all of a sudden he started getting a lot of calls about sightings of Justin. All of a sudden people seeing him everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And ain't nobody seen him up until this time.
Right.
Of course, none of them panned out. He said some of them were citizens out just trying to be helpful, but they don't realize if you're not sure and you're doing these calls, you're just kind of wasting time because they have to go out and verify them.
Every single lead has to be verified.
That's other time that they're not putting in possibly more concerted efforts.
Right.
There was one anonymous caller who had said they seen Justin in Fort Walton with a girl. Something about the message just didn't sit right with Hand. He was starting to suspect Lawrence and Rodgers, and just as he would be starting to suspect them, he'd get a weird tip that was trying to throw him off case. And it was always an anonymous caller.
Also, that don't even sound right. He's just with some girl. I feel like he would brag. He would have been like, I'm going out with this girl. I'm going to tell my mama about it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be so fucking excited.
For sure.
Because he's that type. He talks to everybody.
He's like my Justin.
He would have told someone.
He's like my Justin.
Yes.
That's the first thing Justin would tell you when you walk in the door before you got it closed.
I love
hey, Jennifer,
you.
I got a girlfriend.
Yes. I love you. I miss you. Come give me a hug right now. Exactly. And then tell me all the things.
Yes. That are just so random to none of the rest of us would lead a conversation that way. And I feel like this Justin would have done the same thing.
Exactly.
It took Hand a while to get Rodgers on the phone. He was very evasive, but made an appointment to come in and talk. But of course, right before the appointment, he canceled. Hand was able to get him on the phone again and asked him when was the last time he seen Justin. Rodgers started the story the same as Lawrence, but there was one slight difference. They both stated that Justin wanted to watch The Shining. Rodgers stated right before the famous scene, "It's Johnny." Justin got up and left. Hand said he always found that odd and it always stuck out to him. If you've ever seen The Shining, you know the scene that I'm referring to. If you're a huge fan of The Shining, why would you get up right before the most famous scene and walk out and leave?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
No. Especially
when you got nowhere to go.
Who was asking for it.
Yes. And as we all know, if you follow true crime at all, the devil is in the details.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you don't tell too many details. That's where you get caught up.
That's when you know they're lying. When they start telling you every little thing.
Yes.
And you're like, I ain't ask you shit.
Yeah. If he'd have just left it like Lawrence, we watched The Shining and he went home.
Yeah.
But Rodgers had to get too detailed. Oh, he left right before this scene. In the most famous scene, you'd have been better if he said he left right after that scene. That would have made more sense.
What's that guy? He killed his wife, and he was so particular about stopping at stores and getting receipts when he had never done that before. And he was like, see, look, I had a play-by-play right here. Baby, you doing too much.
Doing too much.
You doing too much.
On April 20th, Hand spoke to Justin's mother again. Let me tell you one thing about this book that was hard.
Let me tell you
guys. The author narrated the book himself or somebody else. I don't fucking know. One person narrated the book. But they chose to take on the voices of everybody.
Mm-hmm. That's confusing.
It wasn't confusing as it was annoying. It was like this. So Hand called and spoke to Justin's mother. She answered the phone and said, I don't know. He ain't been here. And then Hand was like, where was you seen him last? And I'm like, oh my fucking, just stop. I don't need the exaggerated. It was literally a man trying to make a girl's voice that was exactly like I just did. And I'd be like, I would have to re-listen to it sometimes because all I would do is go, this is so annoying. Why is he doing this? And then I'm like, oh wait, what did he say? I have to rewind it.
Listen, when you're listening to an audiobook, that how they're talking to you makes a huge difference in enjoying that thing or not.
It really does.
I was listening to Game of Thrones. I had watched the whole show and I was like, well, I guess I'll go ahead and listen to the book. And the guy kept pronouncing everything wrong.
Oh.
And I was like, every time I turn around, this motherfucker pronounces something wrong. And I'm like, sir, a lot of these things were just easy. You can't call Tom.
Sometimes when I'm listening to a different podcast and they do in the area I grew up and they mispronounce the city, it drives me bonkers the whole podcast. And I'm like, you're giving great content, but it's killing me. Why don't you use the professional method I use of letting the computer read it for you?
As one should.
As one should. So he spoke to Justin's mom again on the 20th, and she said there was a bad smell coming from up the road and that she really wanted him to come out and investigate it because she just had a feeling it was Justin. So she told him, I got a hold of Lucas McCain and that he had a bloodhound from the Jimmy Rice Center. So the Jimmy Rice Center is an organization founded by the parents of Jimmy Rice. He's a 9-year-old boy who was abducted, raped, and murdered. The organization helps in efforts to find missing people, thank you.
Well, sometimes people are in pieces when they get looked for.
Oh, Jen.
Sorry.
I'm trying to keep it from being so dark, but thanks.
You're welcome. That makes me think of Texas IQ search. There we go. We'll make it positive.
Yin and yang. So this organization would provide bloodhounds free to law enforcement in efforts to find missing people. And this is how Justin's mom was able to get the very first search for her son started.
Isn't that crazy that she had to do that, though?
Oh, hey, a mama will do anything.
But, like, the fact that the law enforcement would be like, meh.
Well, once she called him and told him, they were like, oh, cool. Yeah, we'll come on over and do that. Of course they will.
I would. Oh, God.
Of course they will.
No, motherfuckers, you ain't a fighting no more.
So, Hand filled McCain in on Justin's case, and they searched the neighborhood but found nothing. Hand sent them to Lawrence's compound to search there. They asked permission to run the bloodhound, and he agreed. But why wouldn't he? There was no one there. Now, this next little tidbit I'm going to tell you is not really that important to the case, but I liked it because I'm petty Betty. While Hand was there, a red sports car pulled up and Roger stepped out. He was with his girlfriend, who Hand described as looking a little overweight and homely. That was the petty part I really didn't.
I love it when people use the word homely on top of that too, because that's not a word that everybody knows. But that means she was ugly, okay?
Yes.
She found out the ugly tree, hit every ugly branch, and then hit the ugly rock at the bottom.
That's right. Hand and Rodgers had finally met. Rodgers then implied that Justin might be down the street at Jack's. This was the home of a man who would supply drugs for sexual favors. And if you aren't already disgusted at what they did to this poor man, I hope that you're disgusted that they now implied that he was a male prostitute. Not that I'm knocking prostitutes, do you, boo-boo? Just don't try to use this and demean someone after you freaking murdered them.
Mm-hmm.
The dog began to paw at the earth, but sadly it was only a bird skeleton. The only thing they turned up was a pot plant. As Hand was leaving...
That would be what the cops would turn up with.
I know. As Hand was leaving, he looked around again and thought, Rodgers is this is another petty part.
I'm here for it.
A well-built, muscular man, and he was definitely using Lisa. I only included that because I'm petty and because small town. I gotta include some small town garbage. That's what you came here for.
If you think that I'm not still on like the talk of Darien, and I don't live in that town, I haven't lived in that town in a long time.
Same.
But I need to know what's going on. I need to know that small town drama, okay?
Exactly. Once back at the office, Hand started becoming more and more convinced that the previous anonymous tip had to have come from Rodgers. Hand was still constantly watching Lawrence and Rodgers for Justin's disappearance. He felt Lawrence was a weak link. He called and asked Lawrence to come in for a voice stress analysis.
Ooh.
Lawrence agreed, and then when he came in for the test, Hand took this opportunity to speak with Lawrence's mother, who, of course, said Hims was a good boy.
My baby would never.
Never.
My baby is an angel.
The test revealed that every question about Justin, Lawrence showed deception. But all this test did was confirm Hand's suspicion, no real evidence. Hand went home for the night, but Lawrence and Rodgers' day was just beginning.
Mm-hmm.
On May 7th, 1998, Jennifer Robinson lived with her parents. She woke up in her room, and she was a senior. When she woke up this particular day, she was really excited. Today was the day that she had her date with Jeremiah Rodgers. She had met him at the convenience store that she worked at. So he had come in there multiple times asking her out, and she'd said no, and finally she said yes to him. Jennifer had pure red hair and had an outgoing personality and a beautiful figure.
That's what they say about me too, you know?
Same. They say I light up a room too.
You do.
Thank
That's
you.
what this room is running on right now.
Just my brightness. That same morning, Lawrence was sitting at home. Jennifer had your typical teenage girl's room. Stuffed animals on her bed, pictures on her walls, posters of Elvis. That's who she was obsessed with.
When was this again?
1998.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Elvis did have a little bit of a resurgence in the 90s.
I mean, I still love Elvis.
I mean, yes, but like, do you remember like when Lisa Marie Presley
Yes.
they got married? Like, and everybody just kind of reinvigorated the fervor.
So Lawrence's room was stark contrast to Jennifer's. While, again, she had Elvis posters, stuffed animals, and her cat in her room, Lawrence had satanic material, white supremacists, and a book called The Incredible Machine.
So like Sid from Toy Story?
Yes. If you don't know what The Incredible Machine is, it's an anatomy book. He had circled a calf muscle in one of the female drawings. He also had a footlocker that was filled with serial killer books, magazines, you name it, and he admired them all. But his most treasured items in the locker was his certificate that made him an official member of, what do you think? Oh, Jimmy's the winner today.
I was like, dang, there's so many. The KKK, really?
Ku Klux Klan.
You know, I was sitting there and you were looking at your computer, so you didn't see the range of emotions that went through my face of horror. And then I was like, but I do have a lot of weird things in my house. So I can't. And then you went down that point and I was like, oh, okay, never mind. I'm absolved. I'm not that weird. I'm not that fucked up.
That was me. I was like, I have lots of books about serial killers and magazines and tons of dinosaur stuff. And so, you could think I was an odd duck all on its own, but I do not have any white supremacist stuff, and I'm not a member of the Ku Klux Klan.
Pretty sure Google also is worried about me when I was researching stuff about hangings and stuff and what was the most effective hanging method.
For sure.
Google did stop and go, are you okay? And I was like, listen, I've been studying Nazis for 4 months. I don't know.
I'm not sure if I'm okay.
I will say I did hear about a hangman's break the other day. And I was like, oh, I know about that.
Little education there for you.
My girl got me. The more you know.
That's right. The more you know. A week before Rodgers' date with Jennifer, he bragged about his upcoming date with Jennifer. The day of the date, Jennifer went to school and then to her after-school job to stock shelves. Rodgers stopped in and told her that they could just meet at her job for their date. Jennifer told him, my mama ain't having that.
Yeah.
She said her mother would only let her go out if she met him first. Very 90s. Very 90s.
But I feel like that's the way you probably should. Like
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir. You taking my
I don't know
girl
if
out?
I could have made it mentally through the 90s without having like a lobotomy or something.
Yeah.
That was real fast and loose.
Lay eyes on this man coming to get my daughter.
Yeah, people didn't though.
And don't these days?
Oh, it's wild times.
Rodgers did not want to do this. He did not want to meet her parents. But despite this, she was insistent and she refused, and he had no choice but to agree. I swear I proofread this and fixed my errors. Rodgers called her before he headed over and told her he needed her to meet him at the end of the road because he was confused on how to get to her house.
After all that pressing her, I'd been like, bitch.
He told her, though, that once he picked her up at the end of the road, he would take her back and meet her mother. She agreed. But when he picked her up at the end of the road, he tried to avoid going back. And she was like, swing it back around.
Yeah, don't be
mama's gotta
trying no
meet
fast
ya.
one on me, baby.
And so he turned around and went back. She took him up. Jennifer introduced the two, and he was very pleasant to her mother. Her mother recalled he seemed nice and normal. Her mother told him her curfew was 1 a.m. He agreed, and Rodgers and Jennifer left. Their plan was just to ride around with friends and nothing in particular. Do you remember those days when that was just what you were going to go do? We're just going to go ride around.
That's what we did in high school. I lived in a podunk small town. There was like 2,000 people in the city proper, and we would drive either 30 minutes to go hang out at Walmart, or you get to hang out in the Blue and Steens, which was a local grocery store parking lot.
Yes.
Or you could just go riding around in the woods or in the cemeteries.
Yep.
You know, like that's really all you had. There was one gas station that would sell cigarettes and booze to underage kids. And so we'd always stop by there, get our Marlboros, get a little, Mad Dog 4040, whatever we were drinking at the
Mad
time.
Dog 2020.
2020.
Y'all might have had a generic
Arbor
version.
Mist. We had Arbor Mist.
Yes.
I like the fruity stuff. So I went into the beers. But
Back then.
back in those days.
Yeah. Memory.
The difference between today's kids though and when we were like, we did some risky fucking shit. I don't know how I didn't die. Truthfully, truth be told.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, like we were talking earlier about John, like he needs his mama to help cancel that gym membership. You know what I mean?
But that's because he knows I'm gonna bust some kneecaps if I need to. You ain't taking another
do you
$25
think
from my baby.
Do you think he would go running around like riding at 3 o'clock in the morning, drinking,
Absolutely not.
boozing after sneaking out? No. He'd be like, listen, I've heard enough from my mother. She's told me enough that I'm terrified.
She's told me enough about prison, too, after she worked there. And she told me what Bubba wants to do to me for my biscuit.
And I don't think so.
No. Ain't happening.
I'm going to stay home. I'm going to build my Titanic Lego.
He told me last night to go live while I was writing some of this. And I was like, well, I'm actually like really invested in this right now. So maybe on the next one. And he was like, don't you dare. You will embarrass me. And I was like, what if I started making money? And he was like, I'd still be embarrassed. And I was like, what if I made millions? He was like, I'd still be embarrassed. And I said, well, then you know what? All those embarrassing $1 million I made, I'm not spending any of it on you.
Will it be embarrassing on that yacht? I think not.
He does not want me to go live and pluck the imaginary flowers out of the air and smell them. I'll do it. Back to the story. When Rodgers was picking up Jennifer and setting out for the date, Lawrence was back at his house, making a list and checking it twice. The list started off, cooler with ice for her meat.
Oh, no.
Strawberry wine, Everclear, resharpened main blade, tomahawk, saw, film for Polaroid camera, gallon-sized Ziploc bags, wash rags, rope, jug of water.
That's how you know it's the South, too. It's like wash rags.
I didn't even notice that till you said it. You're right. It was just so natural to me. Rope, jug of water, shovel. Lawrence got everything ready and put it in his truck and began drinking rum. Rodgers arrived with his date to Lawrence's. They all got in the truck and headed out.
That wasn't weird to her, like the third wheel thing?
Girl, what did we just talk about? You just
That's
rode
true.
around with all your friends
You
to the
just
gas
rode
station
around.
in the Walmart parking lot and the McDonald's parking lot.
It's very much
Yeah.
a bonfire kind of place. You never know where the night's going to take you.
Just another day in the 90s. May 8th, 1998, the morning. Rodgers got home about dawn and decided to watch a movie. He sat down and watched The Donner Party. At the same time, Jennifer's mom and her mom's boyfriend, Randall, were just getting up for work. They went to Jennifer's room and realized she wasn't there. This was when they first realized that she never came home. They immediately became worried. Her mother proceeded with what she needed for the day, thinking that maybe she had just fallen asleep at Rodgers. Randall was home from work until the evening, so he knew he would be there if she showed up. At this time, the parents did begin calling people, and they called a clerk from her job to ask customers. The clerk asked a customer named Elijah, who happened to be Rodgers' brother, if he had seen Jennifer and that she had been out with Rodgers the night before. Elijah commented, that boy could do anything. Elijah left and went to his brother's house. When he left his brother's house, he seen Rodgers. He seen Rodgers driving towards Jennifer's house and assumed, oh, well, maybe she did just fall asleep there and he's taking her home. But a few minutes later, Rodgers turned around and pulled up in Elijah's yard with beer. He asked him to drink a beer, and him and Elijah asked him to drink a beer, and Elijah said he was acting nervous. Rodgers then stated, I'm going to jail for this. I'm going to die. Elijah asked him what he had done, and Rodgers told him he had to swear he couldn't tell anyone. Elijah told him, hey, if it's really bad, I can't make you no promises.
You know what? At least he was real about it, because that's exactly how I would have been. Don't tell me nothing you don't want the cops to be told.
That would be me too. Look, hold up.
You ain't implicating nothing.
You showed up with beer, you acting strange and nervous.
You gonna die for this? Sounds like lethal injection type shit.
And then you tell me I can't say nothing?
Never a good thing. Never a good thing.
I don't know, fam. I'm just letting you know.
Maybe you should keep that secret to yourself. Take it to the grave.
Maybe I'm not the one. I don't go to jail for nobody. Rodgers then threw a stack of pictures down on the hood of the truck and told Elijah to look at them. Elijah began to look at them, and they were all of a girl. The photos were different parts of her body, and then about halfway through, he seen one with the girl's face. It was Jennifer. Rodgers then proceeded to tell him that Lawrence had shot and killed her. Some of the photos showed Jennifer bloody, one with a knife plunged in her groin, one with her face peeled back from her skull, one with her right leg mutilated. Elijah then said, what about Justin? Rodgers then told him the story of killing Justin. He wanted Elijah. He then asked Elijah. So he goes into detail. The book goes into detail of their whole conversation, but I didn't feel like I needed to relive it for you guys. Y'all got it the first time with Justin. You're about to get it with Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
He then tells Elijah, hey, why don't you come out to the woods with me and I'll show you the bodies?
How about I don't?
That look right there is what I feel like Elijah's face was like.
How about you just told me about 2 murders and now you want me to go in the woods alone with you? Fuck out of here.
That's exactly what Elijah said.
You out of your mind. I don't give a fuck.
That's exactly what he said.
Quote unquote.
Almost a direct quote unquote. He said, nah, fam, hard pass for me. Elijah said he had a feeling that if he went in them woods, he wasn't coming out alive. That's a real direct quote. He told him, hey, let's go down to the street and talk to Lamar. Lamar was Elijah's other brother. So he's like, let's go talk to my other brother down the street.
I need to improve my odds of numbers here.
With much haste. Just then the phone rang, and it was Jennifer's mother asking where was Jennifer. He said he didn't know her or who her daughter was. At that moment, her mother knew something terrible had happened. Rodgers immediately knew his story was not going to work since she had met him the night before. And he might want to change it up a little bit. So
I thought it was Elijah that had said that. I realize now you're saying the murderer. I'm like, motherfucker, you lied.
I know it. That's why I got confused. I'm like, did I delete a sentence out of here? This isn't real clear.
I didn't meet you last night, sir.
So he said immediately, he was like, oh shit, she's going to call the cops if I just tell her that. So he was like, she got drunk and she went off with Lawrence. This gave her mother some hope that maybe Jennifer was alive and that maybe I don't know what else to explain to you about her mom's next thought process other than small town. I don't know. Literally, her mother said it gave her hope that she was alive, that she was still alive, and maybe they had just raped her and left her in the woods somewhere.
I mean, I'm sure at that point, like, you're like, at least she's still alive.
I think maybe by the tone of his voice, his actions, the fact that she didn't come home, she knew some shit had happened.
She just didn't know.
To the extent.
Yeah.
And so she's hoping maybe they just did something to her, but she's still alive.
Maybe they
because he's telling me where she went and who she went with. That's all I could think. Her mother then called Lawrence. He said he hadn't seen her. Her mom got in her car and headed over to Lawrence's house to confront them. When she pulled up, she seen exactly what would confirm all of your mother instincts and worries. She seen him outside cleaning out his truck. Cleaning it out. Soap, water, bleach in there. And you know immediately you're like, fuck, my kid's dead. You have to know right then, I think. You have to know.
Either that or you have a mental break and you're like, lose your mind and go into active denial about it. It's one or the other.
I'd probably be that crazy person that would like floor it and just run him over at the truck. But then again, I'd want to know where my kid was, so maybe not. Who knows what I would do?
Who knows?
Yeah.
You could have done that and then talk to his corpse and be like, bitch, tell me where she's at.
Sounds like some crazy shit I would do. Sounds like you hit the nail on the head there.
Tell me!
Exactly what I would have done. Her mother was now crying and called Rodgers again. Again, he said he knew nothing. Diane Robinson now called the police. Her boyfriend, Dennis Randall, and his friend Leonard Wicks now began driving around looking for Rodgers. So she goes home, she tells them, and they're like, oh, we gonna go find out some fucking answers. This is some country boy shit right here. He calls his friend, he's like, let's go get these boys. We gonna find out where she's at.
That country justice ain't nothing like it. My dad went to a funeral of a distant cousin of his in Georgia, and he had gotten robbed and murdered. And they said, did they find the guy? Well, the law didn't. We did.
And that was all that was ever spoke.
That's exactly it. Right there. They didn't say where he went.
Nothing else.
They took care of it.
And nobody asked. Because we don't go to jail for nobody.
No. You ain't implicating shit.
Nope. Don't know nothing. Don't know nothing. Didn't see nothing.
I ain't seen a damn thing. I'm blind. In fact, you know what? Stevie Wonder.
That's right. Stevie Wonder in this one. And so they go looking for him. And someone told him they may be over at Lamar's house, which was Elijah's brother. So they headed there. And I know that it may seem almost like unrealistic, but when you're in a small town, you can literally stop and everybody knows everybody.
I was just thinking that because like when you said that she didn't call the cops, I was at first going like, that's crazy. But then there is that false sense of security that you do know everybody in that small town. Like everybody. The mayor isn't somebody who's famous.
No.
He's your fucking next door neighbor.
Yeah,
like
exactly. The mayor of that town after I left was a younger kid than me who graduated high school.
Right.
He was like a few years behind me. His sister graduated with me. So like that's the kind of small town.
Exactly. So at that time, you're just hoping that, you know, the good old boys around town just fucked up and.
Exactly. Left her drunk somewhere, you know, passed out.
It's not unlike some child to be drunk, dying in a field somewhere in the South.
It's not.
You know, had too much Everclear, which an ounce would be too much. God, that's so awful.
I drank that many a times. So after they hear that they're at Lamar's house, they head over there. At the time that they get over there, it's the same time that Elijah and Rodgers are getting there. Lamar came out, and Elijah and Rodgers were walking up to him. Elijah told Lamar that Rodgers wanted him to ride down the road with him and Elijah, and he wanted Lamar to go. He just said if he was going to go in the woods and find out if these murders and the story were true, he damn sure wasn't going alone.
No.
No, I'm just going to let you know, Jennifer.
Strength in numbers.
A friend with you, and they tell you they killed someone in the woods, and you come over to see if I want to go out to the woods with you. It's going to be a no. So just go to someone else's house. Hard pass for me. We're not both dying today.
Because you know I would be like, Becky, I kind of want to know. I'm really nosy. You want to go with? And then that's when you'd be like, bitch, you were so stupid. Get in this house. Get in this house.
That's exactly it. And I'd be yelling for John to get the shotgun. Jonathan, get the gun! And that's a true story because I told John when I leave in the morning, I always check the cameras to make sure there's been no suspicious activity in the last 30 minutes before I walk to my car. And then if he's up, I go in and tell him, hey, I'm going to the car now because I figure if something happens, I can scream and he'll grab the shotgun and come save me.
Right.
Always got a plan.
Gotta have a plan.
Gotta have a plan. I didn't say it had to be a good one. I just said you had to have one. But
listen, it's a plan. You know how many people don't have that plan?
I'm hoping my hearing impaired child hear me scream and come save me. But I digress.
Might as well have Helen Keller on 911.
Exactly. Elijah told Lamar that Rodgers knew all about the girl Jennifer who was missing. Rodgers told Lamar that Lawrence had killed the girl. Rodgers then showed Lamar the pictures. He barely looked at one photo before handing them back and saying, I'm not looking at these.
I'm good, dog.
By this time, Randall and Wicks were now at Lamar's house. Lamar went to speak to them and he was like, all right, shit's about to get crazy. Let me go out here, try to talk to them and calm them down.
Right.
He told them, hey, Lawrence was the last one to see Jennifer. You need to go talk to him. You know, we're going to say I just saw pictures of her dead or anything like that.
No, but I'm telling you, Dr. Lawrence.
I'm saying.
I don't know anything, but I suggest strongly that you talk to Lawrence.
That's exactly what I'm picturing. I'm glad I'm painting a picture for you and you're seeing the same thing that I am. I'm sorry, I keep losing my spot because you're acting. While Lamar was speaking to Jennifer's family, Rodgers was still trying to get Elijah to go into the woods with him.
Elijah's like, leave me the fuck alone.
Elijah told him, I think you should get in your car and leave because I'm pretty sure I'm calling the police now.
I'm not even sure if I'm in the middle of a murder situation right now. So y'all making me nervous as fuck.
It's time to call the boys in blue.
You know what I love? That thin blue line.
Everybody loved the police when they're the ones about to get murdered. Rodgers then said, I'll turn myself in. Lamar told Rodgers to go into his house and he would get a friend who was a cop to come over and that way he could turn himself in there. It would be, we can all calm down. We'll call the police. They'll come. It'll be nice.
It'll be real chill.
Yeah.
Real chill.
Chill. Chill. Wicks then asked which one of the boys had been out with Jennifer. Rodgers said it was him. He still didn't know where she was and that Lawrence was the last one with her. Wicks didn't come over here to leave without answers.
Nope.
He wouldn't let him leave and said he needed to tell Jennifer's mom something. Rodgers then agreed to go to their house with them and talk to her mom. At this time, Elijah slammed his hand on the back of the truck. He's like, enough is enough. You're not motherfucking going anywhere. You done tried to get me in the woods.
Yeah.
Now you're going to their house. Sir.
No.
Go sit your ass down.
Keep your murdering ass in this corner right here till the cops come.
This prompted Rodgers to run at Elijah, who quickly opened the truck to retrieve a pistol. The pistol was not in there. So Elijah ran to the house.
Oh, God. Could you imagine the shit in your pants after you realized the gun that you were hoping was there was not
there? And remember, Rodgers is a very muscular, well-built man who's now charging at you that told you he murdered 2 people and wanted you to go to the woods with him.
Yeah. My my heart would just fall right out my asshole.
This calm shit just quickly escalated.
You know, in my brain, though, like, people think, like, oh, I would just run. I know what I would do. I would be like,
yes, same. And
I
probably
can't
freeze.
even, like, be in my house and not turn around and Jimmy be standing there and I go,
oh,
like,
yeah.
He don't live here.
Like, I don't know he's here. He's constantly breathing down the back of my neck. You think the surprise would have worn off by now.
Yet he takes my breath away every time.
I see what you did there.
Listen, I got to keep this sugar mama and daddy situation
going good.
You know what I mean?
So, obviously, all this quickly turned into chaos. Elijah's running to the house trying to get the pistol. Roger is following him. They're yelling and hollering at each other. And all this quick chaos and yelling, Randall and Wicks gathered from the conversation that they were all running to get a weapon. So they were like, you know what? I think we are going to go back to the house without answers.
Maybe I'm good.
So they got shagged ass. Well, as Roger's chasing after Elijah towards the house, Elijah's thinking, what if he gets the pistol before I get the pistol? So Elijah quickly changes direction, goes back and hops in his car, and he shags ass too. He's like, I'm getting out of Dodge. Elijah jumped in the truck, cranked it up, and took off. Wicks and Randall followed Elijah. Rogers jumped in his car, and he took off too. Wicks and Randall drove over to Lawrence's house because they were like, well, this is all a bunch of hillbilly country shit going on with guns here. Let's go over and see what's going on with Lawrence. They told him Roger said he was with Jennifer. Lawrence denied knowing Jennifer or being with her. He said he didn't even know Rogers.
But, sir, this is a small town. that shit out.
Right now. Right now.
You ain't fooling nobody.
But they left because they believed him.
Oh, my God.
At this point, Rodgers was definitely looking like the guilty one, and they knew he was with her the night before. They then decided, we're going to go back and find him. But they couldn't find him. Just to like really paint y'all a picture of the small town stuff. They gave up and they went back to Jennifer's house. By this time, over 20 people were there already making flyers and searching for her. They searched all day and couldn't find anything. There was now a crowd at Lamar's house, too. They told Elijah if he knew something.
That is such like a small town. Like, the cops ain't going to be there, but everybody else in town is going to be.
And they're out there smoking a cigarette.
Everybody knows what's going on.
And they're on the phone with their hairdresser's sister's cousin.
Y'all would believe what's going on out here.
But you know, there was not shit going on. You didn't have Facebook. You didn't have anything. So
No.
you seen some shit. You came outside and looked.
You did.
I mean, it was the Facebook of
And then you ran
your-
and you looked through the blinds when you called your other friends. Be
Exactly.
like, you got to get down here, dog.
Are you still at work? Get home. There's some shit going down. So now there's a crowd at Lamar's. They told Elijah if he knew something, he needed to say something.
See something?
Say
Say something.
Elijah picked up the phone, called the police, and told them everything. And that is the end of part 1. Thanks.
I'm hanging on I'm
All
glad
my
that I
white
don't
trash
have to wait.
words?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Every
I'm
one of
so
them?
excited.
It's fun, isn't it?
It is fun.
I haven't even told you about her murder yet.
I can't wait to hear it.
Oh, you can.
I know.
So next week we will cover part 2, and you can find out everything else and hear all kinds of fun court stuff.
But in the meantime, don't forget to find us on our socials. Check out Jimmy's TikToks. They're Chef's Kiss Fabulous. Don't forget to like us, like and subscribe, and rate us wherever you listen. We're on most platforms. We do have merch now. Let us know if you have your own Too Close to Home stories. We have a website. It's the Too Close to Home podcast.com. Jimmy has every one of our episodes listed there. And until next time,
Stay safe.
keep your head on a swivel.
And don't bring it so close to home. The whole neighborhood's standing in your front yard wondering what in the fuck is going on. Smoking their Marlboro lights.
Call Johnny. He needs to get down here.
Bye.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode of Too Close to Home, don't forget to rate and subscribe to us on most platforms. Follow us on our social media at Too Close Home Pod on Facebook, at Too Close Podcast on Instagram, or if you have your own Too Close to Home experience, shoot us your story at tooclosetohome@yahoo.com. Thanks for listening.